Hello everybody, Mr. Skiro here. I'm ready to take you through the last moment from Jekyll and Hyde in our Magic Moments series. Grab yourself a highlighter or a pen ready for any annotation, and let's really look closely then at this moment. Well, what have I chosen then for the final part? We know that knowing endings of stories is important. I've gone for a moment that's close to the end. It's from the last chapter, which we know is told from Jekyll's perspective, that formal Victorian language, those kind of philosophical meanderings as he talks about why he began the experiment and what he was hoping to achieve. But we also learn the kind of the tragedy of the story, that Jekyll begins this experiment but quickly loses control of it, and he actually begins to transform into Hyde involuntarily, without the drug. How scary that must be for Jekyll to realise that he's lost control of the situation. And so what I've given us here then is the moment where he is involuntarily transforming for the first time, so we can look at that process and we can look at the reactions to it. And so what do we get in that first paragraph? Well, we get the sense that, he calls it an adventure, which is an interesting word to go in. But he's been out as Hyde, takes the drug and goes to sleep as Jekyll. But then he wakes up as Hyde. He looks at his own hand in that last sentence of the first paragraph and sees it as lean, corded, knuckly, a dusky pallor, thickly shaded with hair. Again, Hyde is a kind of subhuman character, as somebody who is less evolved really comes across there, and he stares at this hand and realizes that he is transformed. And notice the emotional reaction. It's a crash of cymbals. It's a wake-up call. He bounds from his bed in panic, and his blood turns thin and icy. He's no longer Jekyll, but he is woken up as Hyde. And he panics, but then realises that he's told his servants that Hyde will be visiting sometime, so it's fine for him to scurry across to the laboratory in his sort of overgrown Jekyll clothes and sort it out. And it's the third paragraph, perhaps, then, which we want to look at, because this is where Jekyll, having gone through that, sits down to breakfast and reflects on it. He talks about it like the Babylonian finger on the wall. Well, what is that about? It's a story from the Bible. There was a king called Nebuchadnezzar in Babylon who got a warning from God through the medium of a ghostly finger writing on his wall to tell him that he was going to be, that he was doomed, essentially. And that is perhaps how Jekyll feels at this point, that this is a warning, that he understands that he's lost a bit of control here, and it tells us that he's going to reflect seriously on the issues and the possibilities of his double existence. Now, why has this transformation happened? Well, Jekyll explains it as because he's been indulging that evil side, because he's been allowing Hyde to run rampant on his adventures, whatever those are. Hyde has grown in stature, grown in power, and to use his words, is now perhaps capable of overthrowing Jekyll and sort of taking his place. And he realizes as well that the drug is losing its efficacy, its ability to work in the way that that Jekyll intended, He talks about a moment early in his career where it just didn't work. And again, I talked last week about how Jekyll can be seen perhaps as a bit of an addict here. The drug is losing its ability to give him what he wants. And what we see really then is Jekyll realising that at first it was difficult to get rid of Jekyll and become Hyde. But now it seems to have reversed. It is harder to get rid of Hyde at this point here. And, I've chosen to end this moment and end our conversation about Jekyll and Hyde with the word second and worse. This is a story of a tragedy, a good person who is trapped by Victorian society, who figures out a way to escape but unleashes something that they can't control that ultimately destroys them. And this moment for me is a tipping point as to where Jekyll kind of realises that his faith in his own ability to control this has been misplaced. So hopefully useful to look at some key parts of Jekyll and Hyde. Don't forget you can scan all the QR codes in your booklet to watch these videos again, which will help you with your revision and your preparation for the summer challenges. And who knows, maybe one of these moments might pop up for us then. Thanks ever so much and see you soon.